The material is very special. I really love Numbuzin. I want to make this very clear. This is why I struggled to release this review. I don't know if you are on skincare TikTok or Skin Talk, I guess. But if you are, and especially if you get a lot of Korean skincare content on your FYP, you have probably seen these toner pads around because lately they've been hyped up quite a lot by a number of content creators to a degree where I'm, shall we say, sometimes getting a little bit suspicious. There's a lot of promises being made here, especially towards a younger audience that has blemishes or even full-on acne, that these will just magically better your acne within the span of days sometimes. And they have before and after pictures, and it just sounds like the most incredible product you could ever use. Now, these toner pads actually aren't just popular in the global community, skincare or K-beauty community. They also are, or at least were, I'm not sure if they're still trending, but they were very, very popular in Korea. They were sold out for a while at Olive Young's in Korea. They were at the #1 spot of not just pads, but I think in the overall Olive Young skincare category in terms of sales. And they really were quite a strong viral product, which is the reason why I actually got them. Or rather, I actually got them from the brand. But when the brand said they're going to send me a couple of things last year, was it even the year before? No, it was last year, I think. It seems a long time ago that they sent me stuff. I actually requested these because they just came out. And I just kept seeing them everywhere. And I just really wanted to know what they were like because they sounded very innovative and interesting. This was long before they started trending on skincare TikTok. So I've actually been using them for a long time now, on and off. And am now ready to give you my full review. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the key ingredients first, and then tell you whether or not they live up to all of the promises that are being made, especially by influencers. I haven't even told you yet the full name of these toner pads, have I? So these are the Numbuzin Vitamin-Niacinamide concentrated pads. They are called the No.5 toner pads. Numbuzin, as the name gives you already a clue, is all about numbers. I still haven't quite understood how they use numbers, to be honest. I've read through their brand history and mission a couple of times, but I still honestly don't get it. But I have always been a huge fan of the brand. If you watch my channel a lot, you know that I've hyped up quite a lot of their products. The serum that also came out in this range, I honestly wasn't that super thrilled about. I think it's okay, but I do think it overpromises on what it can do, especially in terms of brightening. I didn't see much of a brightening effect, which is why I was hoping to see this from these toner pads. These are sold predominantly as a blemish battering and brightening pad. Now, blemish in Korea usually actually refers to hyperpigmentation and not blemishes in the sense of breakouts. I think this is a very important distinction to always keep in mind when Western influencers review blemish solutions of any kind from Korea. As a whole, the brand Numbuzin is more of a younger brand, I would say. And there are a couple of ingredients in here that do certainly sound as if they would be very good for people who have more acne prone, blemish prone, as a breakout prone skin. The main concern, however, that the whole No.5 range, which now consists not just of the serum, but they also just brought out a toner and a sheet mask. The whole range addresses mostly dullness of the skin, supposed to enhance brightening and also help with pore care. The main ingredient here when it comes to brightening is certainly the glutathione. That is one of the main key ingredients. That is also, I think, named somewhere. Oh yeah, it says it here, small, very small mention of the glutathione. Glutathione is a pretty trendy ingredient and has been for many years now in many Asian countries. In fact, they usually take it more orally or as an IV. That is quite popular. I think especially in Thailand, I've heard this is a pretty big deal. And I have to be careful what I say here, but from how I understand it, this is not just taken for brightening, but also for whitening, so a lightening of the skin, which apparently very high doses of glutathione can potentially do. I don't know enough about whether or not this is healthy or if it really is working. It's just something that I've heard apparently is one of the reasons why people are so crazy about glutathione. When it comes to the brightening effect of glutathione, certainly from what I've heard, there is some promising research out there, but since I'm not a scientist, I can't tell you enough about this. I know that taking glutathione orally apparently can help potentially with brightening. I don't know how well documented the research is in terms of topical application. I've heard honestly mixed things from what I've read, but again, I'm not a scientist, so I can't fully confirm whether or not it works, but this is usually how it's used as a key ingredient in Korean skincare. It's usually used as a brightening, overall brightening ingredients, the same as vitamin C, and also supposedly it targets hyperpigmentation and is a melanin inhibitor. The pad also contains PHA and LHA acids, so two chemical exfoliants. Unfortunately, Numbuzin doesn't give me the dosage of any of these, only of the, same with the glutathione, only for the niacinamide, which is 5%, which is the sweet spot in terms of dosages for niacinamide. But I can't tell you how much PHA or LHA is in there. It could be very low, it could be a good amount. I simply do not know. In general, PHA plus LHA is a really good combination of acids because they are very gentle, but I find them very, very effective. LHA is basically a derivative of salicylic acid and a lot gentler, supposedly. And the PHAs are polyhydroxy acids that help, especially if you have more sensitive skin, redness prone skin. They work quite similar to HAs, but I actually find them much better when it comes to brightening and glow enhancing. I'm a huge fan of PHAs. As for the niacinamide, I think by now we all know what niacinamide does. It's such a trending ingredient still. After many, many years, it is fantastic for pore care. It can help regulate sebum, excessive oiliness. It is really good for skin barrier health, and it can reduce redness. So a real true all-rounder. And again, 5% is pretty much the perfect dosage. If it's any higher than that, usually it can aggravate skin if you have sensitive skin and feel, oh, I'm not really seeing any results from my 10% niacinamide serums. It's probably because that's just too high of a dosage. 5% is the amount where the niacinamide works optimally, while at the same time not usually causing too much sensitivity. The pads also contain tranexamic acid, which is another hyped ingredient for hyperpigmentation issues mostly. I think the research is quite sketchy when it comes to topical application, but yeah, this is what it's being used for and hyped up for. The pads also contain a number of antioxidant extracts, plant extracts mostly, plus also 2 types of vitamin C. Numbuzin honestly is pretty good at always including a host of antioxidants, which are good for anti-aging and smart aging, a preventative sort of care when it comes to especially UV ray damage potential. And they really include that in pretty much all of their products. The pads are also fragrance-free. They do contain a number of hydrators, mostly hyaluronic acid, so they're also good for hydration. There's a tiny bit of ethanol in there, so alcohol. I didn't feel that made a big difference to the formula overall, but just to let you know, if you're super sensitive to ethanol, to alcohol in your skincare, it does contain some of it. These pads contain some of it. Another thing to know about these pads, and I'll see if I can show you a close-up so that you can see this better. The material is very special. It's apparently Numbuzin developed this themselves. They told me this once in a DM when I spoke about these pads before. And it is a special, I guess, gel type texture. This is two sides with two different textures. One is a classic sort of slightly roughened up, exfoliating, physically exfoliating side. And then the other side is that gel sponge-like sort of layer that is kind of hard to describe if you haven't experienced it yet. But this supposedly is the gel that holds especially the glutathione. That's how it's advertised and marketed. So how did I get on with these pads? Now, I've been using these for really quite a long time, but I must admit I kind of stopped using them after like a week or two. But then because I kept seeing them appear on social media, I thought, okay, I need to give these a second chance. And I really tried very hard to use them consistently for at least a month. Every night I use these. I've almost used them up. These are 70 pads and I'm almost done, as I think you can see. So I have really used them quite a lot. So I feel I am ready to give the full review. The reason why I was kind of struggling with using these, I'll be absolutely honest, is because I don't really see any results from these. They just don't really do anything for my skin, if I'm honest. Now, there really is a lot of hype on TikTok around these toner pads and what they can do specifically for acne or for any type of hyperpigmentation. I don't really get acne anymore, but I do still get blemishes, especially here and around my chin. I have a lot of hormonal issues because I'm, welcome to your 40s when you're perimenopausal. Sometimes your skin still acts as if you're in your teenage years. So I do get breakouts, and I certainly have hyperpigmentation issues. Using these consistently for over a month, I just cannot pretend that they did anything for either of those issues, to be honest. As for brightening, overall brightening, which is kind of the main selling point of these, I also can't say that they did anything. I'm so sorry. This is why I struggled to release this review, because all I could say really is that I just didn't, there was truly nothing. And that's also why I tried to really consistently use them for the span of a month every night, because I don't want anyone to tell me that I didn't give them a proper chance. I really did. And again, nothing. They do hydrate quite nicely. They are just nice to me everyday toner pads. I didn't super hate them. I just really don't quite understand the hype. And then there is the issue with the material of the pads. Now, this might be a very personal issue, texture issue, but I still do have to talk about it. I've mentioned this before on social media, which is why Numbuzin actually contacted me and told me that, the material is actually like really special and we really developed it very carefully and it's like super innovative. And that might all be, and I applaud them. Again, I really love Numbuzin. I want to make this very clear. This is one of my favorite brands, younger Korean skincare brands. However, I really don't like the texture of that sponge or gel layer. I tend to always flip the pad around when I use it and use the rougher texture, even though I don't like to use the rougher texture usually, the rougher side. But the gel side just gives me the ick. It's so hard to describe if you haven't used it, but it almost feels like a really wet sponge and it feels kind of almost like bubbly. It's so weird. It just feels uncomfortable for me because it just kind of makes me, it's icky to me. I don't think regular people will even notice this, but if you, like me, are hyper aware of textures, then these might be an issue for you. So if you're neurodivergent, for instance, maybe these might not become your favorite pets either, as they unfortunately also didn't become my favorite pets. Personally, I feel that if you have acne-prone skin, if you are younger and are looking for something to help with your blemishes, go for the Numbuzin green pads. I've talked about these before and I absolutely love those. Super, super recommended. And if you want something for skin roughness, texture issues, pore care, just a general refinement of the skin, then go for the Cica, Wellage Cica pads. They also contain LHA and I think also PHA. And with those, I always saw very clear improvement of the skin. But these pads, in all truth, as an overall summary of how I felt about them, they just did not live up to the hype for me, which is a shame. It's just a shame as with the serum, the No.5 serum. I just had quite high expectations because it was so hyped on social media, and then I just kind of got nothing. They didn't irritate my skin and they weren't a problem to use or anything, but they just didn't really show anything on the skin that was promised or that I had hoped for just based on the ingredients. So yeah, overall, I just don't think I would repurchase these. I'm glad I tried them. They were a very interesting experience just because of the very special texture, but they were not quite what I had hoped for. I don't think they really did anything in terms of brightening or pore care or helping with hyperpigmentation. And you can find so many products with 5% niacinamide, and I think there are better toner pads out there from Numbuzin even. So just go for the green pads or go for the Wellage green pads. Those I can really highly recommend. And that was really all I wanted to say about these pads. If you've tried these pads, and especially if you had very good experiences with them, it would be great if you left some comments, shared your experiences in the comments, because I think especially with either very highly rated products or very lowly rated products, it's always good to have counter experiences so that I don't seem biased or like I just didn't understand the product. Based on the ingredients, these should be fantastic. I just personally, they didn't really do much for me. I'm so sorry. I hope to see you again next week with a new product review, I'm guessing. I'm thinking, or maybe there are a couple of other videos that I've been planning on. I have always so many ideas, so I do see you next week again. And until then, please take care. Bye.